Hey, it's Celebrate Truth. I'm Robbie Davidson. We've got a good one for you today. We're going to be getting into Stephen Hawking with his final book. That's right. What does he leave us with? He leaves us with this nonsense. So stay tuned. We've got a great one for you today. Let's go. So there is no God, says Stephen Hawking in final book. That's right. One of the great spokespeople for all things scientism. Well, his family and a few others compile his last book, and it's interesting. It's really interesting. So let's just see what we got here. We're going to go through and just make sure everything is going. I was trying something here, and I just wanted to make sure that everything's good. Can you hear me? Make sure that everything is good here. Okay. All right. So, anyways, the Stephen Hawking final book. Let's continue on. Everyone can hear. Good, good. I was just trying something new, and I wasn't sure if the audio was coming through. So let's get into this article because I think this is telling. I talked about this at Skyfall, getting into not only the stars, but also how the world will be pushing more for the probability of extraterrestrial life. Again, there's no God, but of course there's aliens, right? This is exactly where scientism is going. We see this time and time again. London, CNN. There is no God. That is the conclusion of the celebrated physicist Stephen Hawking, whose final book is published Tuesday. The book, which is completed by his family after his death, presents answers to the questions that Hawking said he received most during his time on Earth. Other bombshells the British scientist left his readers with include the belief that alien life is out there, artificial intelligence could outsmart humans, and time travel can't be ruled out. All right, so we get into this nonsense with time travel, AI, all of this stuff. Basically, even Elon Musk will talk about the probabilities of everything being a simulation. And of course, that's entertaining. But then the minute you say we might be inside a firmament with the Earth, Sun, with the sun, moon, and stars inside the firmament, just like the Bible says. Oh no, that's crazy. That's crazy talk. But simulation, that's all good. Yeah, of course. Hawking is considered one of the most brilliant scientists of his generation. Died in March at the age of 76. There is no God. No one directs the universe, he writes in brief answers to the big questions. For centuries, it was believed that disabled people like me were living under a curse that were inflicted by God, he adds. I prefer to think that everything can be explained another way, by the laws of nature. Hawking suffered from ALS, a neurodegenerative disorder also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, for most of his adult life. The scientist died while still working on the book, which his family and colleagues finished with the help of his vast personal archives. While Hawkins spoke of his lack of belief in God during his life, several of his other answers are more surprising. More surprising. There are forms of intelligent life out there, he writes. We need to be wary of answering back until we have developed a bit further. Now, I thought that was an interesting line. We need to be wary of answering back until we have developed a bit further. Now, I've been talking about this. I talk about this in my new book, Scientism Exposed: Hiding the True Creator of Creation, that a lot of the talk in scientism is about, oh, the missing link. We hear this in evolution all the time when it comes to missing links. I personally believe that the missing links have not been found, and they will be fabricated and will be discovered at the proper time. And he echoes it when he's talking about we need to wait until we've developed a bit further. The time is not right yet. The time will come where they will actually fabricate the missing link. I believe that the alien agenda is to deceive mankind, to tell us that we're nothing more than being transpermia when it came to alien life, injecting their DNA maybe into a monkey and creating us. They'll come claiming that there are creators, there are gods. They've been watching us for a while and they had to intervene because, well, we're so stupid, we're going to blow up the planet with global warming and all of our diseases. So again, this is part of the deception, and this is exactly what Stephen Hawking starts putting together when he says we need to develop a bit further before we start answering back. Basically, until we make contact. Contact will be made. Now, I'm going to let everyone know that might be new to this channel. You might say, well, wait a minute. In one breath, you're saying that this is ridiculous. But what I'm saying is aliens, other life forms from other planets do not exist. It's a complete demonic manifestation in a form that this culture, that this civilization, this world will understand. In ancient times, they came and deceived people as being gods and revered. They'll now come masquerading, excuse me, they'll masquerade themselves as intelligent life forms, and they'll give us all the answers. And we've seen this time and time again. Travel back in time can't be ruled out according to our present understanding, he says. He also predicts that within the next 100 years, we'll be able to travel to anywhere in the solar system. Oh, right. So you're going to be able to travel. That's right. Can't really figure out the Van Allen radiation belts, and we're up there supposedly at about 250 miles high. But yeah, that's right. They went to the moon in the 1960s and 70s, which was a quarter of a million miles away. Yeah, all right. Now they keep talking about going back to the moon in 2025, 2022, 2030. I've heard all sorts of dates. And then in the fine print, it says nothing's in stone, and that's not guaranteed. But yet the media run with it and deceive and brainwash and propagandize more people with the nonsense that they're going to be going to Mars and colonizing and all of this nonsense when it's very clear, the Bible makes it very clear that these things are lights. They're not to be landed on, driving rovers on, investigating. Man has no clue. Just like they have no clue how far the sun is. They tell you it's 93 million miles away. Again, they have no clue. How do you measure that? Why don't you look it up there, Mr. Scientist, and tell us exactly how you measured that the sun is 93 million miles away? Again, using empirical science, this is just all nonsense. Pseudoscience, we see this time and time again. Everyone has seen this. But again, we're getting into this article with Stephen Hawking. We realize that people specifically wanted his answers to these questions. The scientist's daughter, Lucy Hawking, who helped complete his book, told CNN, Hawkins saw the world in a brink of a vast transformative change when he died. She noted, adding, he asked us not to go into the future blindly. How good is the track record of the human race in using advances in technology for the good or ordinary people? In remarks prepared by Hawkins and played at the launch of his book in London on Monday, the scientist also turned his attention to the world he was leaving behind. With Brexit and Trump now exerting new forces in relation to immigration and development of education, we are witnessing a global revolt against experts. And that includes scientists, Hawking said. Interesting. So interesting. In his new book, he's actually starting to see how people are revolting against the quote unquote experts, and that includes scientists. And there has been a huge awakening of people waking up to the lies of scientism. Scientists that are masquerading in nothing but more than pseudoscience, teaching it as fact and truth from a very early age to children. Again, most people that actually start looking into this earnestly, genuinely, with an open mind, start to see the lies of scientism. And yes, there is a global revolt against experts, and that includes scientists. And this is a good thing. When it comes to true empirical science, hey, that's a wonderful thing. But all this pseudoscience, all this origin stories, where we came from, why we're here, where we're going, all a bunch of nonsense. Hawkins has been a critic of the United Kingdom's decision to leave the European Union and called Donald Trump a demagogue in 2016. Oh, you got to throw that in, eh? CNN has absolutely nothing to do with Trump, but yet let's throw Trump in there a couple times. His greatest concern, his daughter said, is how divided we've become, adding he makes this comment about how we seem to have lost the ability to look outward and we are increasingly looking inwards to ourselves. Hawking's final message to readers, though, is a hopeful one. Oh, this should be good. Attempting to answer the question, how do we shape the future? In the book's final chapter, the scientist writes, remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Interesting. So Hawking basically, and yes, the question is, was it even Hawking writing these things? That's a whole other video for another time. Look into Stephen Hawking, ALS. He lived the longest out of anybody. He wasn't even on the list, on the ALS list. I think until Jaron did a video on it and then they added him on, but he wasn't even on the list. But again, there's a lot of weird stuff going on behind him, his little computer program that he only has access to. Nobody with ALS gets a computer that be able to talk to their brain, but yet Stephen Hawking does because, well, he's one of the smartest men in the world, they say, so he gets the special computer. Anyways, he leaves off saying, remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Well, I'm saying let's look down at our feet. And what's down at our feet is the earth. And I believe that there's a lot of mysteries when it comes to the earth. And when we understand earthly things, we will also understand heavenly things. This is what the Bible states. Again, their pursuit is to look up at the stars. I did a session on scientism, and I'll be doing one at Question Everything 2019 also when it comes to scientism. But really, when we break down and get into the stars, there's a lot of significance here. Not to mention that they're saying that we're from stardust. We should thank the stars for dying instead of Jesus. Blasphemous statements like this that Lawrence Krauss said. But also, even Aleister Crowley, considered one of the most wickedest men in Britain. I think he was kicked out of the country. He had admitted to human sacrifice, his homosexuality, sex magic. He wrote the Book of the Law, and in the Book of the Law, he states that every man and every woman is a star. We see this over and over and over, and you can do an in-depth study when it comes to stars. But Stephen Hawking leaves us with, remember to look up at the stars, not down at your feet. More and more people are starting to look down at their feet. They're starting to question the world in which they have been taught. And when people start understanding that we are not on a spinning ball flying through space, when we're on a stationary earth, just like the Bible says, when there's a firmament above with the sun, moon, and stars inside, just like the Bible says, created on day four after the earth, a lot of the investigation, not just biblical investigation, but true scientific data that's coming forward to support the fact that indeed we are not on a spinning ball flying through space. We're able to see too far, and now with infrared technology, being able to see up to 1,000 miles away, the long distance photography, I believe the Guinness Book of World Records was like 240 miles, which is an incredible distance to see something. When you start getting into the curvature formula and start understanding how far below the curvature of the Earth these objects would be. But now with infrared cutting out the atmosphere when it comes to atmospheric lensing, atmospheric refraction, we are starting to basically cut out the atmosphere and see way too far if we were on a ball of 24,901 miles round. We should not be able to see these things. But leaving us with a nice book telling us to look up at the stars and not down at our feet. Also understanding that people are revolting against experts and including scientists. Hawkins actually puts a few things that are right into his book. Most of it will be propaganda, but the biggest thing I want to basically mention is him saying there is no God. I'm sure Mr. Hawkins knows very well, truly, that there was a God. In his parting books, it will be something that he will regret the rest of his life. Whoever his handlers were, whoever he was, whatever he put down, I'm sure this will be one of the biggest regrets he's ever had. It's sad. It's very, very sad that in his pursuit for knowledge, getting puffed up, especially when it came to scientism and the lies that Satan used to masquerade in intelligence and prestige and white lab coats, he got duped into believing that there was no benevolent, loving creator creating a unique world, that everything in the sky was created for signs and seasons, not for extraterrestrials to grow and evolve and basically communicate with us in the future. This is a sad story, another tragic story. And while we could be upset and angry, we also have to be sad. This is a tragic soul that's lost. And this book will influence millions of people because he was supposedly the smartest man to ever live. In our age period, I think that's what it said, one of the most intelligent scientists ever with his talking computer, living with ALS longer than anyone else, and imparting nothing but new age propaganda. And before, when science was all about the pursuit of empirical science, now we're getting into time travel, into alien life forms, and we're seeing this echoed with not just Hawking, but with Dawkins, with Neil deGrasse Tyson, all the big spokespeople, all the priests and priestesses of scientism, prophetesses, I should say. This is what we're seeing time and time again. So, anyways, I wanted to do a quick video on this. I thought it was sad. It was tragic. Again, Stephen Hawking, sorry, saying there is no God definitively. And I wonder how he comes to these conclusions in his book. It's going to be interesting to hear when people actually do have the time to read through this and to see. But again, because he is considered one of the most brilliant scientists of his generation, it will take root in people's lives from an early age. Who knows? Maybe classrooms will be using his final book as required reading for children. We need to continue to expose the world's lies and celebrate truth. And one person at a time. You can talk to your neighbor, your family, your friends. Again, start with evolution. Start with the moon landing. You don't even have to get into the shape of the earth. Again, all of these things are connected, and scientism has had its tentacles in all forms of scientists, bringing this all together when it comes to scientism. So let's continue working together. I want to just go to the chat real quick, just say hi to a few people. Also, I wanted to mention that I just launched the YouTube membership. YouTube just enabled a feature on my channel, and you'll notice now on Celebrate Truth, there'll be a join button. I wanted to also thank everyone that already has become a Celebrate Truth member. I really appreciate your support. It's a monthly service. Anyways, we've got the first member was Roddy K. Thank you so much. Eric Woodard, Alex D, Seth Bopp, Miss Anthropologist, Tammy Wetworth, Fired for Truth. Thank you so much, Nate. And Esoteric Express. These are the first Celebrate Truth members. If you go to youtube.com/celebrate truth/join, or you can click on the join button. It should be on any video, also on the channel. When you click it, you will see there's badges. In the chat, there'll be special badges, special emoticons. There's discounts for the Celebrate Truth store. There's discounts for any events that I put on, the Flat Earth International Conference. And I'll be doing exclusive live streams, and I'm planning some more perks, just kind of like Patreon. But again, YouTube has just launched this, and I was able to enable it, and I really appreciate all your support. Speaking of the Flat Earth International Conference, we are down to 28 days. That's right. If you're not familiar, Flat Earth International Conference, USA 2018, November 15th and 16th, 2018 in Denver, Colorado. And we got 28 days to go. It's come up so incredibly quick. I'm really excited. If you're not familiar with everything that's going on, go to fe2018.com. You can see the featured, all the speakers, the schedule, and more. But anyways, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please put them in put them in the comments. Like, subscribe, and please share this video. We need to get the truth out, and it is important because truth is important. Don't you think? I think so. Anyways, appreciate it. I'm going to put the 24/7 stream back on here in the next 2 minutes. Thanks so much. Take care. Blessings.